Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is Tom Battista. He's going to tell you a great story about touring with David Bowie.
It was a big set, to do. We had 4 towers, and so you'd put together these towers on the ground and then foot them and stand them up. That's the only way you could do it. And then, again, they were all covered with scrims, so you couldn't see that they were actually scaffolding. But we trooped a 9-foot white Steinway grand piano. And when we got back, they said they'd never rent one ever again. Steinway said they're not doing that. They're not putting their instrument through that torture of up and down, up and down, up and down.
Did you have somebody on the tour
to tune it? No, we had tuners come every show. Well, he would come into some room. He was really friends with the monitor engineer, Buford Jones. He ended up doing front of house, and he did a lot of tours with David then, but he would come to Buford's room and, just start talking, and somebody asked him about how he could make a song out of some story or whatever. He said, well, he would just cut it up and put it all in different places, and if you read it, it would still have the same meaning. You could just mix it all up, and as long as all the words were there, it would still have the same meaning. And, I kind of was kind of like that. He was also into Marshall McLuhan. He just thought the medium was the message. There's nothing deeper. It's just that's it. So a lot of people did. Well, when we played Madison Square Garden, Mick Jagger showed up. Well, Bruce DeForest, who got me in the business, had done a lot of tours with Jagger in the 60s and, all through Europe and all around the world and stuff. And so he knew him, and Bruce and John Geyer, the other carpenters on the tour, they also had all the connections in New York for drugs. So I'll never forget, they asked me in New York to guard the dressing room door, don't let anybody in, and I know what they were doing. And then after the first leg of the tour, the management, they were worried that David was getting into coke. And so they fired everybody but me, because I knew how to put it together. They needed somebody to put it together that knew how to do it. And Angela Bowie wrote a little note thanking me for coming back. And I called Bruce and said, hey, I won't take this job. I'll turn it down. He got me in the business, and I wasn't going to try to step on him. He said, oh, no, go take it. And they increased my pay $200 a week, and it was just like, whoa, it was like really great. And then the first time we set it up was in LA at it was an outdoor amphitheater at the time. Now it's enclosed at Universal Studios. There's an amphitheater there, and it was open air. And the reason I remember that, well, the BBC had a film crew there, a 3-camera shoot. They were setting up this thing, and it was kind of cool because everybody had to ask me how something went, or, it was more complicated. We had a whole new crew again, and it was a union crew this time. So that was younger, not old union guys, but young kids. And, they were still, they didn't know really the intricate little details of, how to put it all back together. So they did that. But then for the show, at the encore, Jules Fisher had put the searchlights from World War II around this outside road around this ring, and they did the Albert Speer thing with the lights all came on going up like that, and then they slowly started going back and crossing all over. It was a magical moment.
That had to have been amazing for audiences to see.
It had to be
something visual like that at that moment,
right?
Because there wasn't much of that going on.
No. Oh, we were very theatrical. And the biggest show to go out at the time. In between, when we stopped and we were going to be off for 4 weeks, I got invited to go down to Barbados with Bruce and John and Corinne Schwab and David. They had rented a villa down there, but it's because they were involved in drugs is why they were they were going. And I was just too cheap to go. I couldn't, they weren't going to pay for me to go. I'm not going to spend a ticket to go down there. I needed to, get a well for my house instead of carrying buckets of water for a mile. Actually, it was only a quarter of a mile to the spring, but still, that's a long way to go to get water to live. But so I didn't go to that Barbados thing, and I kind of regretted it. But I would have been on the next leg of that tour, and then I wouldn't have probably done, I might not have been in the business.
How did you hear about his passing?
I don't know. I remember sitting in Bluebeard because we built a restaurant in Indianapolis called Bluebeard. And so I was down there, and that's kind of when I heard about it. And the newscaster showed up and started asking me, or they called me. And so I went home and gathered up all my old passes and stuff, and I brought them. The funny thing is, I'm not a muso. I can't play a musical instrument. I couldn't tell you if you're, in key or out of key. I'm lyrically challenged. I mean, I've worked for Buffett for 29 years, and he'll still quiz me, and I won't be able to know the answer, and it's just kind of, that's not what I do. I do something different than that.
If you'd like to hear more David Bowie stories, click on the video in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, subscribe to this channel, and tell me down below what your favorite David Bowie song is, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.